GM. So today, trade of the day, going to focus on Bitcoin, obviously. Going to look at the open interest across the market and the funding across the market like we do. We'll look at this. We'll do Bitcoin, OI, and funding. We'll do altcoins, OI, and funding, just to get an overview. So, been trending up all the way since mid to low 40s. Open interest rising, funding rising. Bitcoin funding is now, steadily ticking above neutral, but not to crazy levels. Altcoin funding definitely, at more of an extreme, with altcoin OI rising as well. So people have definitely been chasing into alts on the way up. And again, that's fine. What I'm waiting for, like being spot long is the best place to be, right? We're spot long, stay long. We're still early bull. And to then add trades, add leverage, you want to see a proper shakeout, right? Yesterday, there was a bit of a dip. Nice dip to buy for sure for any, coins. I picked up some Bitcoin and day traded it up into the highs. I didn't touch any alts, just wasn't really focused on them. I've got my alt bags packed with spot. But I think there's a proper dip, proper shakeout coming, whenever, in the next few weeks. I don't know when it's going to be. But there'll be a good chance to get a proper leverage shakeout, which is where you want to target your longs. And I'll break down exactly how that looks now. But first, I want to show you what I talked about in daily levels, about a futures-driven sell-off versus a spot-driven sell-off. So if I take away all this and just put on the stablecoin OI here on Bitcoin, there we have it. And if we go zoom right into the flush yesterday, you can see here, right? When I said in daily levels that nobody wants to sell 50K Bitcoin, that it's not resistance, and I said that's spot, right? Spot buyers, why would they sell? Hitting 50K means fucking all-time high is going to come. That's the way investors will view it. So they're not going to sell their spot. So what happened yesterday? Leverage chased the move up. Leverage got flushed. You can see this on the CVD really clearly, right? On the sell-off yesterday, it was almost all driven by stablecoin futures selling, market selling, as they got liquidated. Spot barely dipped. So there wasn't heavy spot market selling yesterday, as you'd expect. It was a typical leverage shakeout down into a gap to fill it. Perfect. You can't get a more perfect shakeout than that. That's what I talked about during the CPI flush. I said, perfect shakeout. I'm saying here on trading analysis, right? That's what a perfect shakeout looks like. CPI dump, where as price was dumping down here, like pushing down, being led by futures. Once price can find its floor, that's it. And the momentum, the positive momentum took over from there. Now, what you want to look for is roughly the same thing again. And for me, I'm looking at something like the daily bands, right? If I'm looking at where is the next best dip to buy, it would be into the daily bands, which could be, let's say the bands come up like this and Bitcoin goes up and sideways and then dips down into them, right? That would be where I'd expect the next big shakeout to come if we get one. I mean, not if, we will get one, right? People are going to over leverage. They are going to get shaken out. There are going to be dips. There is going to be too much leverage. So patience is a virtue here. And that would be like, could be a 10% dip, maybe 7, 8, 9, 10% dip on Bitcoin if it goes into the bands. That'll take alts down 20, 30, some of them down, quick flashes depending on the leverage buildup. That's your time to look to add on your swing trades or any of your entries, or if you've got like altcoins that you're waiting for retests into trend bands or whatever, that's probably the time to do it. And then how that will look on the lower time frames would be, for me, I'll actually go over to the Binance chart. Yeah, something like this. So I've drawn this path up. Whether it comes from right here or higher, I'm looking at that pivot potentially, right? 48K would be like the perfect area to get in on it. With that as well, if you're looking at it like from this perspective of, I'll actually go back to this one. I'll leave that fucking drawing on there. If 48K has that old pivot level, also yesterday's lows, right? So the lows we set yesterday evening, they make a really good target. Now, will the market get there? Not sure, but I would be super. I would be very. What's the word? I would be fully bullish on a leverage shakeout for a dip buy if we got there. You know, the market, a lot of times people think, oh, it can't go there. That's a strong low. But everyone who's now aping in with leverage, their stops are going to be there, right? Below yesterday's low. And if Bitcoin pushes again and then goes into sort of a sideways correction, you can easily see a quick flush out and then back up again. If you see Bitcoin's price starting to kind of grind sideways, be on the lookout for that, because that 48 is super solid level. It's got liquidity down there. A lot of people will think that 50K can't be lost again. 50K can be lost. If leverage takes us lower, spot aren't going to sell below 50, but like you saw yesterday, leverage can flush us below 50. And so it might get that. Maybe we've already had that. We got above 50, we dip down, we go ahead, and we just keep grinding up. Like if price keeps going all the way up and just grinds to 53, 54, 55, we might not see the flush all the way back to 48. But that's the first area I'm looking at. And that's like if Bitcoin starts to go sideways relatively soon, you've got an old liquidity level over here from 2022, right? These highs, you see them? You got these highs from back in late December of 2021. So it was right at the end of the year, about 52K. If Bitcoin grabs those highs and falls back below, be on the lookout for flush down to about that 48. And then if it goes higher, if it clears beyond that, right, if we break out again and go higher, then you'd be looking at the same kind of flush, but probably to the 52 level. In either direction, this is why you want to be predominantly spot long, because whether you get the first path or the second path, you're waiting for some kind of overextension, over leverage, and then the flush. Depending where we top, kind of dictates where the flush goes to. So they're the two areas I'm looking at to get aggressive on longs again. If I'm looking to buy Bitcoin or buy a dip on alts, I think that's when it'll come. Patience is a virtue. You're going to hear people talk about up only and super cycle and this and that. Believe me, it is not going to be up only. It is not going to be super cycle in terms of the low time frames. If you zoom out, which most people tend to fail to do, if you zoom out and you even go to like a monthly, it is up only. And we probably just keep going up. And within these monthly candles, you won't even see that dip to 50 or 48 or whatever. But on the low time frames, there's no such thing as up only, because leverage will always get attracted, right? Price going up, people chase with leverage. When they chase with leverage, they put themselves in a vulnerable position. When they're in a vulnerable position, they can get taken out very easily. And when they get taken out, that's where we want to get in. So that's what I'm looking for. GM. Talk soon.